How financial advisors use social media. If you're an FA and you've been trying to figure out if there's some strategic things that you can do on social media to grow your book of business, this is the video for you. First, we're going to discuss those restrictions that may have kept you from leveraging social media, but I'll also point out some ways around those things that will keep you from getting in trouble, but will still get you good results. Then you're going to discover some of the very important tactics that you can use to grow your business while staying compliant. You ready to get started? Let's go. First, let's address the elephant in the room. We want to ensure that you stay compliant before you get on social media. And whether you are an FA that works for yourself or whether you're with one of the big brokerages, we still want to make sure that you don't run afoul of FINRA or the SEC, or if you work for brokerage, your own internal compliance rules. So make sure that you're familiar with what you can and cannot post. Typically, you can't post things like testimonials. You also can't give very specific investment advice. We got to keep it real general and ensure that you're not posting anything that can get you in trouble legally or even from an ethical standpoint. And to be clear, there are things that you cannot do as a financial advisor. So in the US, make sure that you familiarize yourself with the rules of FINRA and SEC around social media usage. If you're an FA in another country, make sure that you look at your governing bodies as well. Believe it or not, all countries do not function the same. I once spoke to a group of wealth managers in the Middle East that were from multiple countries, and their rules were much more lax than they are in the United States. At the same time, many of the rules in the EU are more stringent. So keep in mind that you have to be aware of what the rules are, where you are. The number one way that FAs can use social media is to build credibility. So for many FAs that work for brokerages, you don't actually post directly to social media. Your brokerage requires you to use a third-party intermediary piece of technology like Hearsay or maybe even something that they have that's proprietary, so that you're posting it there first and then it goes through to the social network. But when it comes to using the social networks themselves, ensure that your profile instills credibility. So how do you look on your pictures? Do you look professional? Do you look polished? Now, maybe your brand is one where you look fun, but even if your brand is to look more fun as an FA, we want to ensure that the images themselves look up to par. Were they done by a professional photographer? Now, some people might say, oh, I have great pictures in my camera phone, I can just use this or that. When it comes to financial advisors, realtors, doctors, all those professions where people have to have a high level of trust to do business with you, people tend to like for these folks to look extra professional and polished. And so professional and polished doesn't mean without personality, but it does mean that we're using really, really high quality images. So again, take a moment. If you're on LinkedIn, look at the profile picture you have. If you have a business page on Facebook, take a look at that. If you're on X, formerly known as Twitter, make sure you're looking polished there, and Instagram, the same exact story. Now, I'm not saying there's no other social networks you can use as a financial advisor, but those are the 4 in the US that brokerages are most likely to let you use. Out of those 4, some brokerages only use 2 or 3. So you got to work with what you're allowed to use. Now, after you make sure that your images are intact, make sure that your verbiage, while being compliant with your brokerage, actually spells out what you do. So on LinkedIn, because it runs on keywords, we want to make sure that your headline as well as your language includes words or terms that people would type in to find you. Because if those are then in your profile or on your company page, you pop up for those things. So if you take nothing else for this video, and I'm going to give you more tips, I want you to do a social media audit. Go on your different social networks and ask yourself an honest question. Do I look like the amount of money that I want to bring in every year? Do I look like the level of clientele that I want to attract? If you do, great. If you don't, no shame. Go in there and tweak it. How else can you build credibility? So again, we have to be very careful with what you do post, but for instance, posting that you're at industry events, showcasing how you're staying sharp and on top of trends when it comes to investing, that lets other people who are following you see that, oh my gosh, you're not just there at a desk making these decisions and doing business, you're actually out there staying abreast of what's new and what's exciting. For investors, at least for me, when I think about my FA, I love seeing that. Also, building your credibility within the community. What kind of nonprofit work are you doing? What organizations are you supporting? Posting pictures of that also builds your credibility, because now you're not just the financial advisor, You're a lifestyle. You're someone who lives a similar lifestyle to what many of your clients wish to lead, because part of building wealth, obviously, is to be of service to others, right? Okay, now before we go any further, I do have to ask you a question. Have you already subscribed to this channel? If not, come on now. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe right now, and you'll be in line for all future videos. So what else can you do as a financial advisor using social media? You can network with referral partners. This is an excellent opportunity for you to find people who can refer business to you. So that might be realtors, because sometimes people go to buy a house, but their finances are in shambles. And so they might say, go back to ground one. You got to build up your finances a little bit, get things in order. If you familiarize yourself and introduce yourself to these realtors, they might be more likely to send their clients to you if you're someone who would take someone in that type of position, right? So start to think about all the people who could refer business to you and build up your network of those folks too. With LinkedIn, you can use advanced search and groups to find those folks. With Facebook, you can also use groups and just general search, and then just start to network with other people that are kind of in the know in your community and see who they're connected to and start to reach out. Always seek to add value first. And by that, I'm not saying that you give them investment advice. We don't want to do that. But you might have helpful tips for saving. You might have some type of great resource for children, learning how to manage money. So always find ways to be of service. So let's say that you have a tip sheet on teaching kids about finances or showing parents how they can start 401ks for their children. Make sure that you're posting those types of things on social media, that general information that people will find helpful but can't get you in trouble. One of the best things you can do as a financial advisor, though, is stay connected with your existing clients and prospects, just touching them in between those office visits. There are people that are great clients and referral partners and people in the community that you want to stay top of mind with, but you're not going to see them every day. And you're not going to call them every day, because that would be weird. But connecting with people on social media, asking a little question here, posting a little sweet comment about their grandkid they just posted, all those little things help you stay top of mind with people because you're still interacting with them. So social media provides us with a way to stay connected with people in between the face-to-face and phone calls as well. So the last tip I have for you is my favorite tip that I like to give to financial advisors. Now, as a keynote speaker, I speak at a lot of financial advisor conferences. And so I'm giving you just kind of little pieces of the kind of things I give them. I give much more extensive examples for my clients that I see in person. But if I can give you a tip, leverage social media to lovingly spy on people. When I say lovingly spy on people, not in a I'm going to kill your bunny kind of way, but in a you're trying to figure out what they actually care about. So for instance, let's say you have existing clients and you see that they just had twin grandbabies. Okay, well, you saw that on Facebook, you have their information. Send them a card congratulating them on their grandbabies. Even better yet, send 2 custom onesies with the baby's names on it. So it allows you to see what people care about. So it's not even about posting. I know FAs who are extremely good at using social media for business, and they almost never post. It's all about the insights that they glean from social media and leveraging that, putting that information into their CRM so they can be more caring service providers. Their clients feel like they're always watching them in a good way. They always care about what's going on with them, and so it builds a closer relationship. You see your FA just the same way that you see your cousin because you're communicating just as much. If you're interested in using social media as a financial advisor, it's because you're thinking about ways to grow or scale your business or keep it relevant going into the future. Speaking of which, you'll notice in the description of this video, there is a link to download my Future Ready Playbook. This playbook is chock full of all kinds of activities and worksheets that will help you think more strategically about your future, whether we're talking about your personal goals, your professional goals, or your business goals. If you haven't already downloaded it, go ahead and take a moment to do it.